Hi everybody, it's Robin from the Artsy Nest Studio. I'm here today with a little project, something that I completed, something that's almost completed, and I'm going to do on camera. Let's see, a couple other things, just a little chit chat here. First of all, my husband has a friend at work, and his wife's mother passed away a few years ago. Well, she was a bit of a hoarder, but from what I have obtained from his friend talking to him about it, she wasn't dirty. I mean, she wasn't like you see normal hoarders, where they hoard trash and everything else, but her house was just filled. Every room was filled with items, just brand new items in the boxes still, and everything from household items to crafting items to children's toys, collectibles. Well, anyways, they know that we have grandchildren, and they've given us now bags of toys and little collectibles. The McDonald's toys from way back, 1990s. Thai Beanie Babies, which I haven't even bothered to look them up or sell them online. When the kids come over and they're bored, the little ones, I'll open up a toy and give it to them. I probably should have saved them or looked them up or whatever, maybe, but beside the point. Well, here's the funny thing. Now, I had done a few small, just to see what it's like. Weaving projects. This I did just on a clipboard. I didn't go real wide though, because like I said, I was just checking it out to see, how it would go and if I would be able to get the hang of it. And I've wanted to do some bigger ones and possibly sell them. I may be opening up my Etsy shop again. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll be selling them on my blog, which I have to update. It's the Artsy Nest Studio .blogspot.com. But when that does happen, I'll be announcing that in a video or something here, and but anyway, I really would like to make bigger ones, different colors to coordinate in different rooms, different houses, for other people. And I don't have a lot of yarn, and not just yarn, but even like this. I mean, this is some kind of yarn, like eyelash fiber or something they call it. But like I said, I don't have a lot, and I've just been picking up maybe a little skein here and there if it's on sale somewhere. Well, the funny thing is, and this is, to me, this is how God works. Yesterday, my husband comes home with, let's see, I'm going to have to grab it because, well, I can't. It's big. A huge, and I'm talking huge couple bags of yarns. Some of it, they weren't in colors that I would want, but most of it was in the beautiful, bright colors that I like. There was some more pastel-y, but, the pastels that I like, and, a lot of, like, these colors here, the pinks, some purples. There was even a grouping of some yarn that was in all the colors, like variegated, however you say it, I can't remember. That would go perfectly in my living room. So I do want to do some kind of, it's the like an olive green, an ochre yellow, barn red, and tans and stuff. It's beautiful. So, I mean, it would make a perfect, some kind of wall hanging. You know, I want to try out different designs and everything too. So, I mean, you know, God answered actually an unspoken prayer, just something that I was thinking in my head, that I had wished that I had more yarn so that I could start doing projects like that. And wool isn't, or wool, not wool, but yarn isn't really that expensive. But, you know, to do some bigger projects and make enough to maybe build up a little bit of an inventory to put in an Etsy shop, or even, you know, on my blog or whatever, it would cost money, and it would take me quite a while. And so, I mean, this was really, it was a very awesome thing. So I really thank the Lord for that. He is good. Now, there were also some sewing notions in there. And, you know, there was elastic and some seam binding and some needles and a few other little things here and there, nothing special. But then there were some very older, vintagey, almost antique buttons and stuff, you know, really nice, but they weren't even anything that special. And then in that whole grouping, I found this. And this is just so cute. It says Ultra Craft. Has a very vintage picture of a little girl. Like, this almost looks like it's from the 30s or 40s, with these very sturdy, like porcelain almost. They feel and look like porcelain buttons. I had to put some washi tape because the one thread had come unknotted, and on my fingers I just couldn't do it, knot it back up. So just to keep that from coming unraveled and keeping the buttons on the card. But look there's some old writing on here and stuff. I just thought this was so perfect. It would go in my little sewing nook here, because I have vintage ladies' dress patterns that I decoupaged onto some canvases up against this wall here. I don't know. I just thought it was precious. It was just too cute. So that was my goodies. Let's see, what else? Oh, there was a thing of some batting, which I only have the, what is it called? Warman something or other. I don't know. And I hate to waste it on backgrounds of stuff that I don't really know if it's going to turn out right. So, but here is my first project using this stuff. Now, this isn't the brand name that I had been looking for earlier. This is Palin water-soluble film stabilizer. With this, you can have like what do you call it? Like a background piece of fabric or whatever, and just have like this stuff. Let's see if I can grab a handful of some other things that I have here. Yeah, I thought it would be easy, but I guess it's not, because, you know, I'm doing a video here. Anyway, you can even grab fibers, stuff like this, and just lay it down, and little bits and pieces, tiny, even, let's see, there's a small piece of this that almost looks like canvas. It's some kind of loose woven fabric. I'm not quite sure what it is. This little strip of fabric, this is like some old, I got it at an antique shop, and the lady actually gave it to me. It was a pile of like mostly all black and white men's shirting, and someone had old shirts, and they must have smoked or something, I don't know, because they were already very yellowed. But now, you know, everything gets washed and stuff. But it was a pile of it. So anyways, I have, you know, I cut up some smaller pieces. Here's a couple fibers. There's a like a used dryer sheet there. and then I slit down, you know, so that the fabric would show through. Well, anyways, what this stuff does, now the other one that I went out and bought because I couldn't find this. I knew I got this a year ago or so to try, and I probably will forget, I'm sorry, but if you go to a YouTube channel called Stitches by Julia, she does some really cute stuff with fabric, and she does a lot of like recycling of you know, clothing and things. But that's where I first saw to make almost a whole new piece of fabric out of just little bits of stuff here and there. And I've been wanting to do something like this, but what I really want to do is in the bright, vibrant colors and stuff. But for some reason, I was just drawn to do these darker, the grays, the blacks, and tans and stuff, just on my first one to try it out. But after you place all of your stuff where you kind of want it, I put a piece of this, cut it the same size, over the top, and I pinned it in a few places here and there. But it helps to hold everything in place, like, so that these little things don't get up under the foot, yeah, the presser foot of your machine, and tangle up and everything. So it's, you know, it protects that, kind of holds it in one place. You don't iron it down or anything. And then when you get it all done, you put it in, you soak it in some water, and wow, it disappears. It truly disappears. The water didn't feel slimy. I don't know how to explain it. I'm not 100% sure what's in it. I haven't looked up any ingredients or whatever. It's used quite a bit, though, with piece quilting and stuff, you know. But it's really cool. But I have been collecting mostly, like, fiber stuff. Well, like, I even took and I dyed my own ribbon. And then I did purchase on Etsy, which it was a really nice price, some, like, sari ribbon. It's ribbon that's, they'll take and just make a big, long string of strips of the, like, silky material that saris are made out of in India, the dresses that the women wear. And some of it is just gorgeous. I mean, because the dyeing, you know, they use a lot of natural dyes and stuff, and it's not all real perfect. You have kind of a pattern in the coloring and everything. So anyway, that's what I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I figured I had gotten 2 different paintings done. So I painted and I did a little collage and did stuff like that. And I thought, you know, it's time for me to get and do a sewing project. So I'm not a good sewer. I really am not. I'm not a seamstress in any way. Everything I know is self-taught. And the funny thing is, my mother was, number one, an artist, and I hated art. She even substituted art classes at the school I went to as a little child. It was a Catholic school. And then she was a seamstress. I mean, people would pick out a pattern. They would give it to my mother, tell her what kind of fabric they wanted. She'd purchase the fabric. She'd make the dress. She had her own little tags and stuff. And I remember one time right around New Year's Eve, she made, I don't know how many beautiful gowns for friends of hers and other people, just acquaintances. You know, of course, they paid her and stuff, too, for a big shindig that they were having for New Year's Eve. And, of course, she made her own dress also. Oh, just, they were gorgeous. And she would just amaze me. I'd watch her cut the patterns out and pin them together and everything she'd do on the machine. But I was too young at that time to really have her sit down and teach me. And then she got sick. She was having strokes related to medications. Back in the old days, the Coumadin wasn't as reliable as it is now. She had had rheumatic fever at a very young age. It damaged her mitral valve. She'd had open heart surgery, blah, 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 blah. While it all culminated, and she ended up having multiple strokes at the age of 36. Yeah, and I was like 13. And so, I mean, she was paralyzed. They didn't have the medications and stuff they have now to dissolve the clots, to almost reverse the process if they catch it soon enough. So for 2 years on and off, she was in a coma. She was paralyzed. And then she passed away when I was 15. So the funny thing is my home ec teacher knew that my mother was a seamstress, so she expected me to come in and just, our first project for home ec class was a skirt, and I messed it up so bad. I cut the waistband for the skirt on the bias, and so it puckered all up, and it did all this stuff. And I remember her almost yelling at me saying, "Your mother knew how to sew. I knew your mother. She was a seamstress. What's wrong with you?" And I said, "I hate it. I hate sewing. I hate art. I hate..." And here I am now, doing what I do. The Lord had imparted a little bit of some talent or some gift, and I'm just kind of doing what I do. But it's all self-taught, and it's a lot of it is trial and error, but that's the fun of it too. But anyway, but the reason why I want to make these, I back this with the fabric that has like some French writing or something, and it's not perfect back here. I still want to do some things, but I wanted this to be, what I'm doing is they will be either little notebook covers or traveler's notebooks. I might make them an actual traveler's notebook, like stabilize it more and do the strings and whatnot, the cording and stuff, so you can put multiple inserts in there, or even just do pockets here so that you can slip a little notebook in and just carry it around with you and do a little pen loop. But this is my first one. I did a little stamping. I found this little stamp. I just thought it was kind of cute, so I went around a few places, and I had done some stamping with permanent ink, the archival ink, just an alphabet stamp. And funny thing is a lot of it washed out, and I didn't rinse this in super hot water or anything, so I'm kind of disappointed. I really thought and I set it. I ironed it first. Ironed it down a little bit after I got done. No, that's wrong. I didn't do that. I set it afterwards to make sure that this would stay after I rinsed out the sizing stuff, whatever that soluble stuff is. But I did set these, but this ink was from Illustrated Faith. It's permanent dye ink. But the archival, see, it came out when I rinsed the the other brand is by Sulky, and it's called Solvy. And that's what I ended up purchasing, but then I found what I had bought either last year or even the year before. So anyways, enough about that. This is done the way you do this. I say, yeah, enough about that, and I'm not finished yet, is I have a special, it came with my sewing machine. It's the special presser foot, and then it has the plastic plate for darning, and you can do free motion, where, you can just move the fabric anywhere you want. And, I'm not good at it at all. I tried doing the circles, I mess up. I try to do a circle, and then it ends up with corners, and, we all know circles aren't supposed to have corners. I had to fix my bottom, the bobbin, the tension on it was messed up. Then I lost the really teeny tiny screw that goes in it. I had to get down on the floor and find it twice. Twice I dropped it and lost it. When I finally got that set up, though, I was pretty happy with the process. Some of the stitching is a little messy, but hey, that's part of the process too. So it's neat. I like the feel of it and everything, and so that's that. Now, the other thing that I want to do now is I watched Julia do this many, many times. She does her free motion stitching on fabric, and then she uses Inktense pencils with, she had the Golden brand. This, I don't even know where this came from or how I might have bought it thinking it was something else at one time. But it's textile medium, and what it does, so it turns any kind of paint or anything into permanent, flexible, and washable fabric paint. So it's not the same thing probably as the Golden, and I know it was a lot cheaper than what the Golden brand stuff is. But I'm going to see if this works. And what you do is you take a nice stiff brush and paint the this medium on where you want the color, where you want the pens to go, and then that's wet, so it activates these are ink. Once this stuff dries, so it is permanent ink, the Inktense pencils. But anyway, I like the shading that she does and everything. So this was a design I had, like one of my folk art flowers or something I had drawn up and never needle punched it or punch needled, how you can say it either way. And, or applicated either. I did the wool applique at one point. But I tried to follow the lines and wow. So I'm still learning. You know, it like everything else, it's self-taught and just trial and error. But I did want to try it, and we're going to see how it turns out. Now, I've watched her do this, and oh, see, it is pretty watery, if you can see there. So, I mean, I don't know how much I'll need. So, I mean, I've never seen her water it down. I do have water here, though, to rinse in between and get the colors out. There's my trusty rag. Two more things I found yesterday, though, digging up my supplies for sewing. I know these were Heidi Swapp. In fact, this was Heidi Swapp. But it's just cotton like muslin, and it was already cut into, like, this is the zigzag, a narrow one and a wider one, and this is a scallop, and there's the narrower and then the wider one, and it was for like help, making homemade journals and journal pages and stuff. And it's like, wow, amazing. When you start digging through some of the stuff you have, you forget, so it's like Christmas Day almost. So okay, here we go. I think what I'll do, the easiest part, really, I mean, just to check it out, is I'm going to start with the stem and the leaves. So, and that's what she did. She would paint this on first, and then after she got some of this painted on, she goes in. Oh, now see, I'm doing a little sloppy. I'm worried then if I do go outside the lines, since this is wet, the ink might seep out. The coloring also might seep out, so maybe I should be more careful. So, okay, I got out an olive green and then kind of a chartreuse or something, a lime green. And I guess I'm going to start with the darker stuff here. Ooh, that's kind of neat. And I'm just going to draw it. I'm going to draw it just on the edges. And then I'll go back with the brush and blend it. I don't even know if my brush is stiff enough. Ooh, that looks neat, huh? Because there's almost like a shading. Huh. Oh, yeah. That's fun. I like that. Maybe I'll make it a little bit darker on the edge. That's cool. Okay. So let's try the leaves now. Okay. Let's see what's going on. You can hear my family. They're loud out there in the background. And at one point, my husband was watching the news. I mean, as far as I know, I mean, he's had his hearing checked. He doesn't need hearing aids, but you would swear he does because he listens to the TV. If you look at the volume number, it's like up almost to 30. It's like, what the heck? He'll go to bed, and if the TV's still on and there is something on I was watching, you know, the Late Show, or I don't know, usually news or whatever, I'll turn it down into the teens, you know, or lower teens, and I can hear it okay. But see, when he's up watching TV, everyone else is usually up and they're talking, and my grandson's here, and he's a little noisy sometimes. Okay, so that's the leaves. That looks kind of neat, huh? I'll see if you can see that. Doesn't that look cool? I just wish my stitching would have turned out better, but it's definitely an art. It's something to be learned, and the only way you learn it, like anything else, is practice, 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 and, you know. So, I'm going to make sure I get all the water out of there so that the medium goes down in there good. Okay. So, oh, hang on. Sorry. I'm getting over. I had a little bit of a chest cold, and you know how at the end you just, yeah, you cough, and yeah. Anyway, let's see. I think I'll do just these little areas on the inside here. Let's see. I do need I don't have one. I was looking for a narrower stiff brush. I have narrow watercolor brushes, but they're mostly like real hair or whatever, or whatever they are. They're much softer, put it that way. And these bristles are real coarse, and this was the smallest one I could find. And of course, you know, yeah, there's no numbers left on here. And you know, I realized what really makes the paint come off. If you leave your brushes sitting in water like that, that water wicks up into the wood, and then I mean, with normal use, the paint will peel off, but not like this. This is from sitting in water and having that water wick up, and then of course the paint goes bye-bye, peels off really bad. Okay. Those kind of remind me of little seedling things or whatever, so I'm going to do these yellow, this funny, yeah, what's it called? Sun yellow. All right. Okay, if that's what they say. You know, and it's not going to be perfect, because of course nothing on here is perfect. But it's fun. Oh yeah, I like that. I just love having that color on the fabric like that. That's so cool. That one I'm not really going to be able to blend these little pieces because I'd end up just getting it all outside the lines and stuff. So anyway, that's going pretty good, I think. Let's do the outer part here of the flower. And instead of just following the black thread, this was a micron pen that I had originally traced this design with my light box onto this. So I'm really more or less following that design rather than just sticking within the stitching. Because if I stuck just in the stitching, it wouldn't look real nice. So now I want to get some nice color in there. So I'm thinking that I am going to go with this. It's a fuchsia. I could have guessed that, I suppose. And I'm just going to stay on the outside edges. and then blend it to make it look like shadowing or whatever. Oh boy. Yeah, you can hear my family. They can't. They don't know how to be quiet. Today is my older daughter's birthday, though. She is such a blessing to me. She spoils me too. I mean, she'll hear me get up in the morning, and she'll say, "Are you getting up now?" Because I sleep on, basically it's a recliner because my one hip pops out of place, and she'll hear the bottom go down, and she'll come in and she'll say, "Are you getting up now, or are you just getting up to go to the bathroom?" And if I'm actually getting up, she will go and make my coffee for me, and I mean, she really is. She's just, I tell her all the time, "Ashley, that's okay, I can get my own coffee." She goes, "Mom, you waited on us all those years." She goes, "I don't mind." She goes, "If I didn't want to, I wouldn't do it, and she just is. All my kids, in their own ways, are really a blessing to me. They all have their unique personalities and traits and gifts and whatnot. And I have 6 children. I had 4 boys first, and then the 2 girls came along. And my oldest daughter is actually 9 years older than my baby, my younger daughter. And I don't know. Yeah, that needs a little bit more, I think. That's not the right one. But yeah, my younger daughter, it can be the same way too. And I've been blessed. My sons, they can be like that. They're very helpful and loving and giving. And my daughter-in-laws are awesome, very loving. My one daughter-in-law, I'm so proud of her. She went to nursing school and stuff, and she's a nurse, and she's probably going to go on. See that seat outside the line. But she wants to go and get her bachelor's and eventually her master's and everything. And she's got 2 little ones, and that's tough. I know. I went to nursing school. I'm an LPN, but I went to school out in California, and the program that I went through actually had close to 2 years, because we had to take a 3 or 4 month course first called Fundamentals of Nursing, and if we didn't pass that, that's it. You couldn't go on in the rest of the class. Then the next step was one of the first units we took was pharmacology. That's the medications and stuff. And if you didn't pass that, that's it. I mean, you didn't even get a second chance. You were out. And once we passed pharmacology, this was a little old school. It was back in the 90s. No one else did it at the time, though. I liked it. We had a capping ceremony where we actually, once we passed pharmacology, we received our caps. And when we went to clinical, we had a uniform that we wore, and we had to wear our caps. And we had so many, the nurses that worked in the hospitals and other student nurses that were there doing their clinicals asking, "Are you guys nuns? Is that why you have to wear your caps?" And it's like, "No, we're not nuns. It's just what our school program does." And I liked it. I thought it was pretty cool. Oh, that's red. I'm not going to add that. Let's try this pretty color. This is teal green. I may have to stop the video. I don't know. At least you got an idea of the process. Oh yeah, I'm going to have to stop it here. You got to see a little bit of how it's done. If anybody has any questions, put them in the comments. I'll answer as best as I can. Or, then I'll direct you. I'll try to remember when I get this uploaded and stuff to put the a link to Julia's channel. It's Stitches by Julia. And she does some really neat stuff with fabric and, you know, all kinds of things. She makes the journals and stuff like that. So anyways, if you'd like to try this process or whatever, you know, I encourage you, hey, look at this is the first time I did this. I never did this before. Oh, I did stitch on some of this batting on the back. It's nice to have something thicker underneath, you know, when you're sewing. So I hope you like this little show and tell, and I hope everybody had a blessed day today. This was the day, because see, I'm recording this late, so that's why instead of saying this is the day the Lord hath made, I will rejoice and be glad in it, I always have to say this was the day that the Lord had made, and I did rejoice and was glad in it, and I hope you were able to too. So I hope y'all have a blessed evening, and you know, there's still some time before bedtime for a lot of people. Get crafty, do something fun. I mean, God made us to be creative. I even have that on my sign over here. I don't know if I did a video of how I totally emptied out my closet and redid it to make it my sewing area, but I'll have to do that. But I had just a frame with some glass in it, and I thought, you know, I'm just going to paint the glass with chalkboard paint and paint the frame. And then I had some little tiny colored chalks, and I wrote a sign, and it says, we were created to create. So God gave us that creative spirit that, you know, we like to make things. We like to do things with our hands. So anyways, if this is the first time seeing one of my videos, hit the subscribe, hit the little bell next to it, then you'll get notifications of, you know, my when I come up with a new video. Give me a thumbs up and spread the word. Tell your friends if you liked it, you know. So thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye. And of course, at the end of all my videos, I have to say I have to stand up and shut this off.